Adams Physical Therapy, Davis Chiropractic. With additional support from Paul Faddis, Realtor, All Brothers Lawn Squad, Community Foundation of Randolph County, Crossroads Excavating Construction, Matchett & Ward Insurance, Empire Title Services, Edward Jones, Kevin Addington, Matthew Haney, Apex Agriculture Solutions, Wick's Pies, Ohio Valley Gas Corporation, New Horizons Accounting and Payroll Services, Natalie Exton, State Farm Insurance.
Hi, I'm Mayor Sean Byram, and you are now entering Winchester.
Located about 90 miles northeast of Indianapolis in Randolph County, about 5,000 people call Winchester, Indiana, home. It was in 1818 that this town near the Indiana-Ohio border got its name, thanks to some early Quaker settlers who named it after their hometown in Virginia. In the late 1800s, the railroad offered an economic boost to the town, which would become well known for its glass industry. And it was here that the Wickersham family turned a pie-in-the-sky idea into a sugar-cream reality, and a rural speedway became one of the fastest and most popular ovals around. Winchester is certainly a town racing toward its bright future, while respecting its rich heritage. It's a place full of small-town pride and big dreams. You'll find that in the stories, told here by the residents themselves, through their own photos and videos. You are now entering Winchester, Indiana.
My name is Kate Thornburg. I'm the PR director for the Randolph County Historical Society, and I'll be telling you a little bit about the history of the museum and the Historical Society today. This house was built in 1858 for Carrie Goodrich. Now, Carrie Goodrich was the uncle of James Goodrich, who became the governor of Indiana. And his family lived here. They had 4 children, only one of whom survived to adulthood. The Goodrich's family seems to have a very unlucky streak of just ending lines, because their daughter, who did live to adulthood, did not have any children. The house passed from person to person through the next 100 years. And in 1968, it came up for auction. So the Historical Society, which was founded in 1959, started taking up donations in 1966 from people in the community. And by 1968, they had raised $15,000 and were able to purchase this house at auction to turn it into a museum. And the interesting thing about 1968 is that's the sesquicentennial anniversary of both the state of Indiana and Randolph County and Winchester. So the 150th anniversary of our state, our county, and our city, we were able to begin this museum. So this has been in existence for the last 50 years, and we're shooting for 50 more. Small museums like this highlight the importance of everyday people in the history of our state. This community was started by Quakers looking for a new life in a new place where they could really grow their religion and live their faith and live their values. So it's places like this that allow those kinds of small and important people be brought forward and honored. The genealogical collection in this museum is amazing. That entire room next door, the library, is full of surname books, surname files. history of just various groups in Randolph County. And it brings a lot of people from across the country. We have roots back to North Carolina because of the Quaker heritage here, and then into Utah and Iowa, where the Quakers continued migrating and carrying their values through. So that genealogical collection brings in probably more money for this museum than about anything else other than memberships, because people will write and ask, hey, I'm researching, the Thornburg family. Well, you want to know about the Thornburg family? I've got 18 books about the Thornburgs. So we have a lot of valuable resources, and a lot of them are handwritten. They're completely unique. They are not published. You will not find them anywhere else. So you really need to come here to be able to research your family. We're happy to do it online and send people information. We do it over the phone sometimes. We have a lot of artifacts here that are military, and that's part of the collection that we're really wanting to expand, because we have soldiers that were from Randolph County that fought in the Civil War, but we need to expand our collection because we have a lot that fought in Vietnam and in Korea, and we don't have a lot to honor them here. So those are things that we're looking for, but we're always looking for new artifacts from anywhere in Randolph County. We've separated things in here. We've rearranged so things are done by township now or by city. And some of our cities are kind of lacking in things to show. So if people have things that they want to bring in to donate, bring them in. Let us look at them and see if they'll fit somewhere into our collection. So our next 5 years, we want to be able to raise the monies to redo that upstairs and open up the entire house again. So people can go upstairs and see what a bedroom was like in the mid-1800s and see how, the flow of traffic through a home would have been like. So that's our most immediate goal. For the next 10 and 20 years, it's to expand our collection. We have some holes, and if you walk through the annex, you'll see that we're kind of sparse on some of our townships. We'd like to get the museum to a place where people know and trust us. Just for 50 years from now, to have that kind of energy and build it up in our youth and educate our children to understand the importance of Randolph County and Indiana's history.
I'm Shonda Bond. I'm on the board of Winchester Main Street, and that's where the interest came from, the hotel. The Randolph Hotel opened June 11th, 1904, so it's just over 114 years old this past June. In the grand opening of the hotel, there was a very elaborate and detailed article in the newspaper. The entrance off of Franklin Street is considered the main entrance, and when they listed that out, they listed the entrance on the east side as the ladies' entrance, and I've never found any other information about that other than that newspaper article, and I found that very interesting. The front corner of the hotel, which was originally the lobby, has had various different businesses in it. The Y was there, the license branch was there, the Chamber of Commerce was there. The part that was originally the hotel kitchen has been restaurants through the years. Many would remember the Courtesy as an iconic restaurant. Once the Courtesy closed, then it was Velia's Tacos for a number of years. The Randolph Hotel was run as a hotel from 1904 through 1971 when Robert Beechler bought it. And it originally had 40 hotel rooms, and he converted those to 27 apartments. The hotel building had a flower shop on the west end of it, on the northwest corner of it. The building is laid out in an L shape, but that building was at one time the Gaslight Inn, which was a tavern. And in 1973, there was a lady that made an entrance unexpectedly into the tavern. She ran her car into it and was trapped in the car until the wrecker extricated the car from the tavern. I believe there's a lot of possibilities for the future of the hotel, for businesses as well as individuals.
I'm Dane Starbuck. I'm going to share about the Goodrich family of Winchester. John Baldwin Goodrich, he was 3 months old when they came here by wagon in 1831, arriving in January in 1832. He is the father of James Goodrich, who became governor of Indiana. So during the American Civil War and shortly thereafter, there were 5 Goodrich brothers that were born here in Winchester, and they were raised behind what is now the Winchester Community High School in a log cabin, and that house still exists. These 5 brothers, there was Percy that was born in 1861, there was James Goodrich, who was born in 1864, Ed, 1866, John, 1868, and William Wallace, 1871. They were very entrepreneurial. In fact, they established the Goodrich hay and grain business. In around 1855, they established a furniture store. The Goodrich hay and grain business later became the largest grain operators in the state of Indiana. They ultimately owned 39 grain elevators in central and northern Indiana. They established gas companies in towns like Tipton and Winchester and Red Key and Union City. The Goodrich family also established People's Loan and Trust Bank in 1901. They established the Eastern Indiana Telephone Company. They became very big in the telephone industry. And they also were in the electric business and the water business. So these 5 brothers created kind of a small financial dynasty in East Central Indiana at the turn of the 20th century. Governor Goodrich was also very big in politics. He was Randolph County Republican chairman from 1897 to 1901. He was state Republican chairman from 1901 to 1910. And then in 1916, he ran and was elected governor of Indiana, 29th governor of the state. And what marks Governor Goodrich's tenure as governor was World War I. He was elected in 1916. America's involvement in the war had just started at that point, and so a lot of his efforts were spent in marshaling resources to the men serving overseas, and that's a remarkable story in itself. The other thing is Governor Goodrich was very entrepreneurial in the way he approached state government. He established the Indiana State Highway Department, the Indiana State Commerce Department, the Indiana State Banking Department, and his interest in ecology and the environment stemmed from his relationship with Teddy Roosevelt. James Goodrich and Teddy Roosevelt were very close friends, and if you know anything about Teddy Roosevelt, he was the one that established the National Park System. And Governor Goodrich, when he became governor, wanted to do the same thing here in Indiana. It's remarkable what they did with their wealth. Just to give you an example, in 1945, Pierre Goodrich established the Winchester Foundation. It exists to this day, and I'm a trustee of the Winchester Foundation. We give grants to local organizations, Minnetrista Center, Randolph County Community Foundation, to the Randolph County Art Association, to Historic Farmland, various other organizations. Pierre Goodrich left most of his wealth when he passed away to a foundation that he established in 1960 known as Liberty Fund. Liberty Fund is based in Indianapolis, and Liberty Fund holds conferences throughout the world, Europe, Latin America, Asia, and North America, on the ideas of individual liberty and personal responsibility. It's a remarkable organization, and it's one example of how the wealth that the family owned what happened to it after they passed away.
My name is Fred Davis. I'm Vice President of the Cemetery Board at Fountain Park Cemetery. Fountain Park Cemetery was established by Ashel and Lydia Stone. He was a General Stone, and he lived in town here for a long time. Ashel decided that he would go out and find some ground, so he purchased some ground, cost $3,000. He originally set that up and into the cemetery. He took another $300 and he had it plotted and surveyed and had it all set out like it is, which is in circles. Once he'd done that, he presented that to the city council for free, and all he wanted was Section 1. In Section 1, he had his stone put up there, and that stone is 30 foot tall, and it cost $2,700 back in the 1880s. At that time, it was the tallest stone in the cemetery. Well, it wasn't too long after that that a gentleman named Harvey Wysong came along, and Harvey was a wealthy farmer here in Randolph County, and he went to the stone cutter and asked him if he could make him a stone 5 foot taller than what Ashel Stone's was. And Hoffman thought he was kidding and didn't do anything, and a couple weeks later, Harvey asked him again, "Have you started on my stone yet?" And Mr. Hoffman said, "No, but if you're serious, I will." And he said, "I'm serious. I want a stone 5 foot taller than Ashel Stone's." So today, Harvey Wysong stone is the tallest stone in Fountain Park Cemetery at 35 foot, and it costs $3,000 to make it. If you want to take a tour through, there are some really famous people in there. We start with Ashel Stone, who is a general and a business owner who started the cemetery. Right behind him is a governor from the state of Indiana, James Goodrich. If you go around the corner in Section 2, you'll come across a consulate to Mexico, and his name was Canada. Around the corner from him, there's another famous person there. He was a United States congressman back in the 1800s, and his name was Brown. Got many soldiers in Section 5, and all of them have a story to tell. The proudest moment in my life of doing historical stuff in Fountain Park Cemetery was I came across Clinton Armstrong, who was a Civil War private. He's buried out there. He's a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, the only one we know of in our cemetery. As I studied him, I found out that he was in a battle, and it was with the Confederates, and he was picked one of 150 men who were going to go on a suicide mission. The only way you could be picked, you had to be unmarried, because they figured that they would not come back alive. About 85% of those men were killed. Clinton laid on the battlefield, wounded once in the abdomen, twice in the leg. He lay there from daylight till it got dark. He crawled off the field, found his soldiers. They got him back and nursed him back to health. He was pretty disabled, but he ended up being a surgeon for the Cincinnati Police Department, and we're so proud to have him buried in our cemetery. When I take my golf cart out to the cemetery and drive through, I pay particular attention to all the stones that are out there, because there's somebody buried there, and they, like I said, they all have a story. It's a very peaceful and solemn place, and I would just encourage everybody to come out to Fountain Park Cemetery on 700 South Main Street, come through our cemetery, take a tour. We have people come out there and run. We got, I think there's 3 or 4 miles of roads out there. It's in circular. Beautiful place. It's peaceful, quiet. Yeah, just come and visit us.
A lot of people don't realize, but Speedway was built in 1916. Back behind the racetrack on the north side, there was an amusement park ran by Frank Funk. There were some motorcycle guys that come riding down the highway one day and asked if they could race motorcycles in an open field. And Frank said, absolutely, go ahead. So he started letting them race out there, and the next thing he knows, there's a crowd that starts showing up to watch him. And it went from a little short motorcycles, and then turned into car racing, and now it's elevated up to a 36-degree, world's fastest half-mile track. I started out as a fan out there of my dad's. Throughout the years, when my dad retired from racing, I actually started racing out there myself. I raced up to about 10 years ago, and then I have 3 children. 2 of them love to race, my son and my daughter. They actually both raced at Winchester Speedway. People are, Winchester Speedway is known anywhere you go in the United States around the racing community. The town of Winchester helps give back by just all the donations through the racetrack. We got good sponsors. When the fans are in town, a lot of them come in for 7 days. They don't come in for our 3-day weekend. They spend the whole week in Winchester, the whole weekend in Randolph County. So our fans are actually doing Winchester, justice by coming around and visiting local businesses, spending their money in Randolph County and the town of Winchester. Back when USAC started in their sprint cars and midgets, pretty much anybody that ran the Indianapolis 500 back in the older days, they ran Winchester to get prepped for the Indianapolis 500. I went through, there's a book written of all the guys that's raced at Winchester, and anybody that's anybody in the racing world has been through Winchester Speedway. Probably 80% of your NASCAR guys have been through Winchester Speedway. I mean, you talk to Ryan Newman right now on the radio, on TV, he still mentions to this very day his favorite racetrack anywhere is Winchester Speedway. Tony Stewart, even though he owns Eldora Speedway, which is right across the state line, he still loves Winchester Speedway. It's just funny because when I go to a NASCAR race, you can tell them you're from Winchester, and they all got stories to tell of Winchester because they've all been there. It's just, there's so many great memories out there. My friends have won races out there, been out there with them when they've won. Seeing my kids race out there, that was just, that tops the list. There's been so many times that me, other people have went out there and just stood on the racetrack and just, collected all the thoughts that's happened there. It's neat to be able to stand there and look around that racetrack and just think, back in 1920, this thing was this. The position that I have, I can just stand up there and watch the smile on people's faces when they win or when their driver loses or wrecks, but to me, all that just makes memories. Winchester Speedway is what I love.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us for the latest episode of WIPB's Now Entering series as we visit Winchester.
Give yourselves a hand, Winchester.
Yes, we've got a lot of storytellers in the house. We'll talk about them in just a minute. I'm Michelle Kinsey, Community Engagement and Grants Manager at WIPB.
And I'm Angie Rapp, the Marketing Manager for WIPB. We're so happy you could join us for this unique local program and get to know the people and places of Winchester, as told by your friends and neighbors. And behind us, we've already given one shout out. We have some of those wonderful storytellers tonight.
We had a great time visiting Winchester and learning about what makes that town special. And we are here this evening not only to celebrate Winchester, but also to ask you to be a part of what makes WIPB special, our members. The best way to do that is to become a monthly sustaining member of WIPB so that your ongoing contribution helps to continue the local programming you enjoy and want to see on WIPB. So call us right now at 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org.
We want to hear from you. Let's get those phones ringing and keep our volunteers busy tonight. Yes, if you have friends and family who are from Winchester and maybe they've moved away but would love to watch the show, they can watch it tonight on Facebook Live. Just go to Facebook and type in WIPB-TV at the top of the screen and you'll see our page that you just need to like, and then you'll see that Facebook Live feed right there live on Facebook.
People are already on there.
They are. There's about 40 people watching.
Yes.
We're also streaming live on WIPB.org, so that is an option as well. If you're in front of your computer, you can tell someone, share with one of those people out of town, go to WIPB.org. And we want to hear your comments too. So when you do, just hashtag that with hashtag Now Entering Winchester.
Awesome. WIPB loves being able to go out into the communities we serve and connect with you by providing the best in local programming and outreach activities. We would love it if tonight you would take just a minute and make that connection with us by calling in with your support. When you call and give a donation of $60, we'll send you the Now Entering Winchester DVD as a thank you. But if you decide to give $108, you will get 2 DVDs as a thank you for your support. The DVD not only has the program you're seeing tonight, but there will be bonus material on the DVD, including behind-the-scenes footage of production day at the Randolph County Historical Society and Museum and at the WIPB studios. So give our fantastic volunteers a call right now at 800-252-9472 or go online to WIPB.org to make your contribution.
If you've already been watching, then you know the stories that you're watching are being told by your friends and neighbors from Winchester, Indiana. They went out and collected videos and photos and then sat down with our crew and told the wonderful stories you're watching this evening. We spent a day visiting with residents, our storytellers, at the Randolph County Historical Museum. What a wonderful resource and space to preserve the town and county's history. You know, it's not a small feat to make this all come together. It's a partnership between WIPB and the community of Winchester. And now we're asking you to do your part. To become a partner yourself by calling 800-252-9472 to support this program and future Now Entering programs.
When you make your contribution tonight, you will not only receive the Now Entering Winchester DVD, but you will receive our on-the-air members guide and WIPB Passport. WIPB Passport makes it easier for you to watch your favorite programs by giving you access to an on-demand library of PBS programming. You can access Passport anytime, anywhere, 24/7. So make that call right now at 1-800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org.
A new chapter begins.
Now you can access more of your favorite PBS shows than ever before.
This is the future!
With PBS Passport, a member benefit that lets you binge many of the latest shows and catch up on your favorites.
We really are living in the modern world.
Anytime you want.
Wow, how about that?
Anywhere you are.
There's literally nothing like this in the world.
I love our Now Entering series. I think it's one of the best and most important things that we do. It's part of our mission to be the local voice for East Central Indiana, and this evening we're bringing you the stories of Winchester. The community of Winchester came together to help make this program possible. Thanks to those who have already called in supporting great local programs that only WIPB, your local PBS station, can bring you. If you haven't called in yet, just go to your phones right now, 800-252-9472, or you can go online to WIPB.org and make your gift in support to WIPB and, more importantly, for this program about Winchester. And when you do, we have some wonderful thank you gifts tonight. For a donation of $60, we'll send you the Now Entering Winchester DVD. For a gift of $108, we'll send you 2 DVDs as a thank you. One for you and maybe one for a friend or a family member. The DVD will have the program you're watching tonight along with bonus material of behind-the-scenes footage on production day in Winchester and interviews in our studio. We've had some great storytellers in the first segment, and Michelle is with one of them right now.
I am. Thank you so much, Angie. And with me, you may recognize her. She kicked off the program this evening. This is Kate Thornburg, and she's from the Randolph County Historical Society and Museum, which is where we actually held our production day. So it's where all of the storytellers descended and spent, well, you talk about it. It was quite a day at the museum, wasn't it?
It was quite a 2 weeks leading up to that because you came in and
Yes.
you liked the space.
Yes. It's beautiful.
And we decided that it needed to be better. So we spent 2 weeks and we ripped the entire annex apart, moved every case we own, every artifact we own, scrubbed everything from top to bottom to make it a more appealing and welcoming place for you all. And you came in and you took over and it was wonderful chaos.
So it's really kind of the extreme version of your family coming over for the holidays. You know how you really clean, but you guys went the extra mile.
And you guys were great coming in too. You came in, you took over the space, you moved things around, you know, the lighting and the seats and everything. And we're very accommodating and respectful of the artifacts that we have there, which was really wonderful because we were worried, you know, with so many people coming in.
That's great.
And so much activity. So it was a wonderful experience.
Well, this project and what you do, I mean, have a lot in common because what we like to do is we like to hear the stories about the wonderful small towns in our viewing areas. And to do that, it's collecting photos and videos and revisiting history. You get to do that each and every day in Randolph County. So talk a little bit about the importance of keeping that history really alive and accessible for people.
I think people seem to forget that history is more than a list of names and dates on a page. They were real people who lived real lives, and even you and I, we're ordinary, normal people, but we do wonderful things and stupid things and things that make a difference on down the line.
Sure.
And it's important to remember those little people. So they're not just names and dates on a page that somebody finds.
Absolutely. So how did you feel being a part of this? I mean, normally you're hearing other people's stories, and for Now Entering, you kind of told the story of the society and museum. What was it like kind of being in front of the camera and
Absolutely
doing all
horrifying.
Oh,
which you know, but you made it a very, very easy process for me. I don't like being in front of cameras. I avoid them like the plague, and you were all very calming and very understanding of that for me. So it's smooth, and I haven't done anything stupid yet, or said anything bad, or
it's still early.
Yeah, I could still end up passing out, but you have a very easy way of making this a very smooth thing for all of us that are not used to being in front of a camera. So it's.
Well, we want to thank you so much for being, for hosting us for what was an incredibly long day. We set up the day before, and then it's about, an 8-hour plus day on the actual production day. And we just thank you so much for being such a wonderful host and providing such an amazing location that was absolutely a perfect fit for this project. So we thank you so very much for being a part of that.
Oh, the Society was happy to have you and happy to be able to host something like this, because it gets our name out there, but it also gets out this idea that preserving history is important, whether it's from 100 years ago or it's from today.
Right, absolutely. All right, I think we're ready to go back to Angie. Angie, what are you doing over there?
Hey, thanks, Michelle and Katie. We are here celebrating the town of Winchester, but there are all sorts of reasons to celebrate WIPB, from programs that inform, educate, and inspire, to safe children's programs, to in-depth news and the best in cultural and arts programming anywhere. What better way to support the station that can bring you such a diverse range of national and local programming than to make a contribution right now? We make it easy for you. You choose the amount, you choose if you'd like a thank you gift, and you choose how much you'd like to pay. It's really a simple process. With the support from you and other members, WIPB can continue to produce Now Entering for years to come, highlighting our small towns throughout East Central Indiana. Call now 800-252-9472 and talk to one of our great phone bank volunteers. If you get a busy signal, don't worry. It just means that all of your friends and neighbors are calling in. So try again in a few minutes, or you can always go online to WIPB.org.
Let's take just a moment to thank some of the wonderful people who have become members tonight in support of WIPB and Now Entering Winchester.
You want to thank those people?
Oh, yes, I do. The Winchester Foundation. Thank you so much, Winchester Foundation. Calling in your support, Kathy Wallace. Is that correct? Kathy Wallace, thank you so much for calling in. Yes, let's give Kathy a hand, everybody. Don't hesitate. And this is Melinda Reynolds, and oh my goodness, did she call in all the way from Memphis, Tennessee? Friends?
Yes,
That's
I think
fantastic.
she's watching online.
Hello, thanks for calling in, Melinda, and just keep those calls coming. What's happening on Facebook? Who's watching?
We have about 40 people watching, and we have some people that have commented. We have Jim Martin, who's super excited to watch. Betsy Cochran, Yvonne Thompson, good friend of the station, says hi to Winchester. Yvonne. Debbie Webb's watching. Jean Phillips is watching. Andrea Sharp-Long says the Randolph County, Indiana History Group is also watching.
Hey, hey.
Thanks. Sherry Flanagan watching, and I think that's about it. So
wonderful.
Awesome. Good comments so far.
I've been hearing the phone ringing a lot. This is fantastic. People are on the phones right now. Keep those calls coming.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much to everyone who's already called in supporting WIPB and Now Entering Winchester. I want to remind you of the thank you gifts when you do call. For $60, you'll receive one Now Entering Winchester DVD. For a donation of $108, you'll receive 2 DVDs of Now Entering Winchester. The DVD has bonus footage of interviews not seen on this evening's show, as well as behind-the-scenes footage of the production day at the Randolph County Historical Society and Museum.
Now, if you haven't picked up the phone, do it right now. We're getting ready to head back into the program. Just give us a call at 800-252-9472, or you can go online to WIPB.org and show your commitment to excellent public television that only WIPB can bring you.
Yes, we can.
And then OP.
That's right.
All the letters.
We bring you all the letters. Next up, and we bring you all the stories too. And there are more to come. Next up, we have stories about the Bunce grocery store, the infirmary, and the YMCA. So let's get back to Now Entering Winchester.
Yes, please.
My name is Paula Poli, and I work for Ardagh Group. I'm the manager of marketing and communications there. I've been a resident of Winchester all my life. I moved away for a short time, but came back because it's such a great place to live. The Ardagh Group glass plant in Winchester actually employs 430 people, and it's the largest employer in Randolph County. There's a long history here. It's been around for 114 years, and that's part of the reason I'm here today, because my grandfather moved from another state to work at the plant in 1953. He worked there for 35 years until he retired. He was a mold maker, so he worked in the mold shop, responsible for all of the molds. My grandfather and I spoke a lot about the Ardagh Group glass plant. He would always laugh and say, well, I'm sure things are a lot different now than they were back then. But honestly, a lot of things are still the same. You know, the mold shop that he worked in is still very much the same. The facility actually makes food and spirits containers, and they manufacture approximately 1.5 million glass bottles and jars a day, which is equivalent to about 17 bottles a second. So it's pretty phenomenal. I think one of the things that makes the Ardagh Group glass plant so great is it's been in the community for 114 years. So it has really not only provided a great living for my grandfather and for myself, but for many residents here in the community. Like I said, there are 430 people employed there, and I think a lot of them, when you walk into the plant, you would find that their grandfather worked there, and their father, and even their children. It's just this generational working relationship that I think a lot of people have at the plant.
My mom's worked in the office for 30 plus years. My grandpa worked in the mold shop for 40 plus years. So I did something different. I went to the different department. I went to the hot end. And it's just fun because it's kind of a family tradition.
So I've been here a little over 30 years. I was a single mom with 3 kids. It was a good wage and good benefits. My parents both worked here. My father hired in 1953. My mother came in 1957. Both of them retired from here. One of my sons work here. He's been here a couple of years, so it's going to continue. It's been very good for the entire family.
They just actually held an open house a month ago, and people from the community just poured in, and they were so thankful to see the plant and see what their family and friends do there, and how it is a part of their lives as well. And they actually got a chance to see what glass bottles and jars are made. I definitely think there's something to be said about the pride of the people who work at the plant. That, you know, if I'm out traveling or something and I go into the grocery store and I look at that bottle and I see that it's, you know, an Ardagh bottle, I think, oh, that could have been made in Winchester, my hometown.
Well, I'm here to tell you about Bunce's IGA. When my grandfather started the business in Muncie, and then my dad went into partnership with him for a couple years, and then it was a store that didn't have any refrigeration or anything like that. And my grandfather had a huckster wagon in the early 1900s, and they called him Old Bob, because he had a bobtail. My father, in 1934, he came to Winchester from Muncie and opened up a store on the south side of the square in Winchester. He was there in that location until 1949. In 1949, he bought the AMP building down the road a piece. Dad and I were in partnership, and then I bought him out. And there was a lot of happy memories there. I grew up in that store. I was a carry-out boy. I worked in the produce, sorting out rotten potatoes. I swept the floor and carried out.
Well, in the early 1949s and 50s, it was a gathering place for the farmers and the people in the community. They would come into town once a week.
Friday night was the big night in Winchester, and the farmers would come in about 5 o'clock in the evening to get a good parking place on the square, and that was their social life. They loved to talk and visit, and then they would get their groceries and put them in the trunk, and at probably around 10 o'clock or so, or 10:30, they would go home. But that was their entertainment.
Well, the impact that Bunce's had, I think, was more social and helping people. Ed was known as a very caring person, and if there was a need, they'd come to him, and he would take care of it. He'd give money, or he'd give groceries to people. He also did deliver groceries to people. I know a mother had 7 children one time, and she just said, Ed, I don't have enough money. So it was taken care of. You don't get that anywhere else.
We were known for our deli. We had a hot deli.
People would just be coming in because they would smell the donuts 3 or 4 miles away, 3 or 4 blocks away, and just loving the homemade donuts and the deli products. Our deli manager was special, and she was there for 30 years. She was also our catering partner. So we were very busy people. It was an 18-hour day, so we'd start at 6 and end maybe at 12 at night. And we had about 30 in our crew, and they would come in, and our meat manager was crucial because our meat was known all around the area. And our deli manager would make the homemade chicken salads. Our chicken salads and apple salads and potato salads were known all around the 5 or 6 county area.
It was a very popular place for people to come to visit. We were like family, and you knew everybody's problems and their hardships. And one of the things that I started, all the young mothers, when they have a baby, I give them a free case of baby food. And now all these kids have grown up, and the mothers remembered that.
I'm in the business of helping people succeed, and I think that we have at least accomplished that so far. I think there's this push towards a recognition of a community of health. Back in the 80s, the Winchester Ministerial Association created the food pantry for the county, and that has driven the notion of service to others, to the more vulnerable. 3 or 4 years ago, Randolph County, Winchester created the Journey Home. It's a transition veteran shelter for homeless veterans right here in Winchester. And then of course, the Winchester House. The Volunteers of America, they agreed to come to Winchester and set up shop right down the street from here, from where we're at, the Historic Museum, just right across the street at the former United Methodist Church where I attended. It was a difficult task, as you could probably imagine, small town Indiana, drug treatment facility with 23 women in the middle of a neighborhood. But we were able to actually do this with Indiana. We partnered with Indiana, the state of Indiana, and Randolph County commissioners, and the state of Indiana gave us an $815,000 loan to do it. And then they said they would forgive about $500,000 of the loan. And then they said, what you have to pay us back, you're going to put in a community foundation called WINGS, Welcoming Indiana's Next Generation. And it became an endowment fund. So this thing is just going to, as we keep putting money into it, up to $290,000 or more if that's what we want to do, then it's just going to grow and it's going to continue to benefit the people of Winchester and next generations long after me or maybe even some of the current leaders here today. One of the things that I'm so proud of that my predecessor started, Mayor Steve Croyle, was he created a TIF district, which is a tax increment financing, out of the old middle school. The middle school in Winchester, Driver Middle School, moved to the high school. They built on to the high school. So this building became vacant. And Cooley's, a construction excavating company, bought the facility, bought the building, and the tax increment off of it goes to Randolph Central School Corporation's Advanced Manufacturing Program. And so it's just this fascinating thing that how government, schools, and the community can work together to just improve the overall community. And it's just fascinating to watch as people put their heads together, get over their differences, and say, here's our mission, let's figure out how to get there.
My name is Greg Summer. I'm here to talk about photo documentation of Winchester, Indiana. And what I do is I go into these old buildings. I like to photo document everything down from doorknobs, door hinges, holes in the walls, anything you could think of could be in an old building. And the main purpose I do that is to preserve time so the future generations can actually have an image what we used to live like. When I go into these buildings to do the photo documentations by myself, a lot of times I get overwhelmed just because of the activity I knew took place. And it's just exciting activity. Sometimes you can just imagine what was sitting in the corner. It's like going into these old buildings. Some people says I'm crazy for doing it. I said, well, it's interesting, it's history. It's just like this town there's just a lot of history itself in Winchester, Indiana. The courthouse is very, very unique. See, I did documentation of the courthouse. See, I went in the courthouse, did all 3 floors, 1 floor each day, different times. I've taken roughly probably 3,000, 4,000 pictures. You kind of get overwhelmed when you get to see the same thing, same image, but it's just the little stuff. It's like I took a picture of a window frame. I had a little piece of wood that was, well, when they did the window frame, they didn't have enough to finish window frame, so they made a small piece to finish window frame. Nobody in the courthouse knew about it. I think it's important for me to do photo documentations of these buildings to actually to preserve what things were like and hoping the people would actually share their stories of what took place in those buildings.
My name is Ted Martin. I'm the president of the Randolph County Historical Society. In 1851, the state of Indiana mandated different counties to build a facility for indigent people. And Randolph did it, and we built a wooden structure right out there on the very same foundation that the new one's on today. And new, it's not new. The one that's today was built in 1899. And from 1899 until it closed then in 2006, there was approximately 1,500 people that went through there. It didn't have anything at all to do with health, either physical or mental. For example, during World War II, when the ladies' husbands or boyfriends were in Europe or the South Pacific, military spousal pay was not enough for these ladies to get by. And a lot of the ladies, unfortunately, would lose their farms or lose their property. and they had no place else to go but the infirmary. It's been an asset. It's been a good place for people that just couldn't make it on their own to find help. And I can remember going out there with my parents to buy vegetables and stuff off of them. That place was a 350-acre farm, and they raised corn and beans just like we do today, and wheat, but they also had beautiful gardens out there. And of course, the residents that were there that were capable of working, they did work their gardens. And they always set up a really nice vegetable and fruit stand out by the road. They raised their own beef, they raised their own pork, chickens, eggs, you name it. They raised it all. It's self-sustaining. I wish I had been familiar with some of the people that was out there. I did become familiar with one lady out there. Her name was Doris Addington. And Doris passed away. She's gone now. But she kind of had a bad situation happen to her. When she was 11 years old, she was kicked in the head by a mule. And her sisters thought that she was crazy. And they took her out there and actually dropped her on the doorsteps and went home. And she's only 11 years old. Now, there's nothing wrong with Doris mentally, except for the fact that she talked real slow and she kind of stuttered a little. But Doris was a tremendous cook. And I would venture to say that she probably helped cook every meal out there until the day she passed. If I'm not mistaken, I believe she passed in 2003, and she was 74 years old. So she spent her whole life in there. And she was a great lady. I enjoyed her a great deal. The infirmary itself is owned by a gentleman by the name of Dan Allen. He lives in Hartford City. And we're trying to restore the building to its original way that it was when it was first built. Well, that takes money. And we've been approached several times, would we rent the building out for paranormal research? And because of all the paranormal shows that you see on TV right now, there are a lot of paranormal researchers. And so we do rent it out now. And so my job is that I go out there and open the building and make sure it's open, and I tell people the history, the actual, real history of the place, and then I take them a tour. And hopefully it's still daylight when I take the tour. There's some really creepy places in that building. There really is. And hopefully one of these days, when we get enough money to get it all restored, there won't be any more paranormal research out there. We're planning on making it one time kind of like a theme park out there. But we got to have the building completely restored first.
I'm Cian Bales, and I work at the Randolph County YMCA, and I'm privileged to be the CEO. I've been with the YMCA for 20 years. It's hard to say that out loud, but yeah, 20 years. Well, the history of the YMCA is very lengthy. It's definitely been rooted in this community. We were started in 1979. A group of individuals got together and looked around and said, our teens need something to do in our community. And so they gathered together and looked at whether it was a community center or YMCA, and they said, you know what? We think a YMCA is a good match for our community. So there was a very established YMCA in Richmond. They talked to the board and the staff there, and then in almost a blink, a branch of the Richmond YMCA was started here in Winchester. And then in 1981, the organization became its own entity under the name of the Winchester Family YMCA. And in 1989, the facility was built, and since then it's grown and expanded, and additions have been made and programs have been added, and here we are today, almost 30 years later, on the brink of our 30th anniversary and our 40th anniversary of being in this community. communities our size, typically $1 million Y has a pool. Well, pools are very expensive to run, so that inflates your budget. Our budget is at that level because of all the programs. We don't have a pool. And so it shows the community sport that comes in behind the Y and says, we need you to do this, can you do this? And we say, yes, we can do this with your support. So we have vast amount of programs, from child care to prevention programs in the school. 4 years ago, we brought Camp Yale, which is a leadership camp, which is regionally based. So we bring in people from the area into Randolph County, into Winchester community with that. 2001, the largest child care provider in Winchester, Church, decided they were going to go in a different direction. And so that was in May, and I went to some meetings, and I was like, I don't really think that we should do that. That's a big chore. And by August, Cian was wrong, and I'm glad I was wrong, because in August we started child care. We thought, oh, it'll be temporary. And 17 years later, we're still in the child care business. 5 years ago, we raised a little over $2.1 million to build the first license. It's the only licensed center in Randolph County. It serves 110 children. We're getting ready to open a center on the east side of Randolph County in Union City, and we're in conversations on the west side of Randolph County for farmland to start a child care. The only reason this YMCA is possible in this community is because of the community support we receive. I think we still are the rural community. It's still ingrained in us that we help each other, that we help our neighbor, that we help our brother, we help our sister. And a society has become very me-focused. We don't feel that here. We still feel it's like, you have a problem, let me help you. I'm not just going to walk on by, the story of the Good Samaritan. We are those people, the people here in Winchester and Randolph County. They will stop, they will help you. And the YMCA is a benefit that and a testimony of what can be accomplished when we focus on helping our brother. When you walk through the YMCA in our new addition, the new lobby, there's a huge Y emblem, and we were very intentional about picking this phrase underneath the logo that says, where the community comes together. The YMCA has made me who I am, and stepping up and serving others, it's a humbling experience. And so 30 years later, wow, 30 years is gone, and I'm not where I was when I go back to my class reunion, but I will go into that class reunion and say, I'm very proud of staying and coming home and serving my hometown and my community.
That was such a great segment. So many different stories, even scary
A little bit.
That infirmary story was fascinating.
That was my favorite.
I had no idea. I would love to go. Have you ever been on a ghost tour? That would be so fun to do that.
No, I would love to. Let's
See,
go
now
to
everyone
Winchester.
knows. That's right. So after this, let's all go to Winchester and look for ghosts.
Maybe
Yeah,
not tonight, because it's going to be late.
All right, we'll schedule it for later.
Hi, I'm Angie Rapp, along with Michelle Kinsey, and we are just taking a quick break from our program. Thanks so much for joining us this evening for Now Entering Winchester, the latest installment in our Now Entering series. Just remember that you can, if you're not in the WIPB coverage area, you can still watch this program. You can tell your friends and family who are out of the area to log on to WIPB.org on their computer or on your phone or whatever on Facebook Live. Just go to WIPB-TV on Facebook.
Absolutely. Now Entering gives local communities an opportunity to have a voice and to become visual storytellers. Working with WIPB, your friends and neighbors become the filmmakers, and they helped us create the Now Entering episode you are watching tonight. We had a great time partnering with Winchester for this episode. We spent a day at the Randolph County Historical Society and Museum, a wonderful asset and resource in that community, and we really got to know the storytellers and their stories. It was so much fun to see the pride each person had when they were telling their stories. And WIPB takes great pride in being able to bring you quality local programs like Now Entering. To support Now Entering Winchester, you can do that right now by calling 800-252-9472 or go online to WIPB.org to give the gift of your support. When you make a donation of $60 tonight, you'll receive a DVD of Now Entering Winchester as a thank you gift. If you donate $108 tonight, then you'll receive 2 DVDs as a thank you gift. Keep one for yourself, give one as a gift. The DVD has bonus footage of interviews not seen on this evening's show, as well as behind the scenes goodies from production day and other activities.
Here at WIPB, we believe that people want to understand the world around them and that all of us are nurtured by exposure to the arts, nature, science, and innovation. That's why we invest in programs like Nature, Nova, Masterpiece, and Frontline. It's why we produce local programs such as Wellness Matters, the Regional Spelling Bee, and now Entering. And it's why we engage in our communities by partnering with local organizations to extend the learning beyond the broadcast. We do initiatives that focus on education, the arts, health and wellness, and economic development throughout our viewing area. We believe that people who participate in civic life and engage in their neighborhoods can help make the communities they live in a better place. That's what we do at WIPB, and that's why we do it. How we do it depends on you. Membership support makes it all possible. If you believe in these values too, we welcome you to join us by calling 800-252-9472.
If you've never supported WIPB, we hope that tonight you will be inspired to join us by supporting Now Entering Winchester. It only takes a few minutes. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org and click Donate to show your commitment to local programming that makes a difference. If you make a gift of support tonight at the $60 level, we'll send you the Now Entering Winchester DVD as a thank you for your donation, which is full of bonus footage and interviews. Plus, you can take advantage of the WIPB Passport that gives you access to an on-demand library of thousands of hours of PBS programming with new shows added weekly. You can watch your favorite programs when and where you want them 24/7. Passport is great for those of you who have a busy schedule and can't always make time to watch your favorite programs each week. And remember, if you contribute $108, you'll receive 2 DVDs of Now Entering Winchester as a thank you. Plus, you'll be able to activate your WIPB Passport. All you have to do now is call 800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
How do you split up nicely from a girlfriend?
We should talk about life.
All of our ceremonies illustrate connectedness with all of creation.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Become a member of this PBS station, sign in, and start streaming today.
Our world is filled with never-ending wonders that amaze, surprise, and delight. And one of the great things about this series is it celebrates the wonderful stories in East Central Indiana. The history, the school spirit, the people, the uniqueness of each town. For decades, WIPB has been committed to bringing it all home to you. Because when it comes to serving you with great public television, our purpose is clear: to be an invaluable source of news, ideas, and inspiration. Please help ensure that there will always be community-centered programs right here on WIPB. It's not too late to call in your support for programs like this one. Call 800-252-9472 or go online to WIPB.org. And now we're going to head on over to Michelle, who has another one of the wonderful storytellers with her.
Thanks so much, Angie. And with me is Jana Barnes. And Jana's story is coming up a little later in the program, but we wanted to give people a little taste of what they're going to be hearing about. Jana, talk a little bit about the story that you told for Now Entering Winchester.
Well, as you said, I'm the director of the library in Winchester, and so I told the history of the library, and there's some unique things about the Winchester Library that maybe some other community libraries don't have, but we'll wait until our story comes up so you can learn what those things are.
Oh, that's such a good tease. And you were such a big cheerleader for this project. You were constantly encouraging people to get involved, to get them to sign up and tell their stories. Why did you think it was important for your community to get involved in this project?
It's just always as fun to tell your story. I actually, when they started this in Winchester, I went back and watched almost all of the other ones that WIPB has done, and it's really interesting to see other people's communities and learn all interesting things about places that are near here things I didn't know, and so I thought it would be interesting to encourage people in Winchester to take advantage of the opportunity to tell their stories and the unique and interesting things about Winchester that other people, again, who live nearby may not know.
Absolutely. And what do you like about Winchester? Tell me a little bit about, were you born and raised in Winchester? Or
Yep.
what?
I have lived in Winchester my entire life.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I did go to college here at Ball State.
Oh,
I did
okay.
live here, but aside from that, I have...
well, welcome back to campus, because we are on
it
campus.
looks considerably different than it did when I went to school here. So
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And so what would you say to people that are watching the program right now as far as the importance of kind of keeping this project going, keeping these shows coming to tell the stories that you just mentioned?
Yeah, it's incredibly fun to dig up the information, find out, think about what story you want to tell about your business, your organization, your family, your community, because there's different stories you can tell, different angles you can take, and
absolutely
finding the one that
and everybody has a story, and that's what I love about this project, because we wouldn't have found most of the stories this evening if we just went to Winchester, or if we just maybe Googled Winchester on the internet. I mean, it's wonderful to be able to get the stories from the residents there, and the stories that they're really passionate about.
And you guys were very adamant that it was us telling the stories, that you didn't want to come in and pick the stories. You wanted us to come to you with the stories.
Absolutely, absolutely. So would you recommend kind of the project to maybe somebody out there that's watching from another city or town? Yeah.
Yes. If you're another small town, one of the ones that hasn't been featured on this show yet.
And they can let us know. They can let us know you can contact us through WIPB.org, or let us know on Facebook if you would like us to come to your town for this project. Jana, thank you so much for being one of our storytellers. Like I said, her great story is coming up later in the program, so you do not want to miss that. But right now we're going to head back to Angie, because I think we're going to hear about some comments and some people that have been calling in. Is that right, Angie?
I don't know. I just read what's on the prompter. Thanks, Michelle. Remember that we are also streaming live, so that if you have friends or family that don't live in our viewing area, they can watch us online at WIPB.org or on Facebook Live. So many people were instrumental in making this program a success, getting the word out in town, hosting a town hall meeting, and much more. We spent a whole day in Winchester interviewing our storytellers at the Randolph County Historical Museum. Community members collected photos and videos, and our producer, Sam Clemens, along with several staff members, put it all together. It's truly a community effort, and we want you to be a part of what keeps programs like this on WIPB. Thanks to everyone who has called in already to support WIPB and now Entering Winchester, including...
Oh,
here it is.
I
Here
told
it
ya.
is. All right, we have... Are you going to do this with me?
I'll
Yes,
do some,
you are.
yes.
Okay. So we have Robert Cole from Modoc, and Karen Clem Nowakowski online, and Nancy Finney, who grew up in Winchester but now lives in Muncie.
Oh, fantastic. I've got Vicki Leonard from Portland. Thank you so very much for calling in your support of the program.
And Teresa Short says, thank you so much to all the folks behind the cameras. It was wonderful to host everyone at RCHS, the Historical Society.
Oh, yay.
Appreciated the opportunity to have your staff and also the guests who were interviewed. So thank you,
that's
Teresa.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Gabriel Winkle from Winchester, thank you so much for giving us a call in with your support.
Jackie from Muncie, thank you for your support.
Oh, Margaret Bunsold, who is one of our storytellers this evening, along with her husband. She called in. Hello, Margaret. She said she is loving every minute of this. And we loved your story, Margaret. So thank you for participating and telling the great story about the Bunsold grocery store. And thank you for calling in your support.
Awesome. Fred and Cindy Priest of Winchester, thank you for your support.
Hey, Brittany Horner from Winchester. She called in her support and she said, hey, Mr. Nunez, hello.
Hello.
He has got a
He's on
fan
the
club,
phone.
in case you don't know. He has
Very
a fan
popular.
club. And she says, thanks, WIPB, for coming to Winchester. What a nice thing. Love WIPB programming. Thank you so much,
We
Brittany.
love you too, Brittany. Okay, and then Tom Sells of Winchester, his message is he's very proud. He's on the city council.
Oh.
He said he's not a native, but he has been there for 40 years. He's known Sam Clemens for 40 years. Now we're going to give away Sam's age here
We got to
in a
hear
minute.
some stories later, buddy.
And he just said to tell Sam hello and say everyone did a wonderful job. Thank you, Tom. We appreciate your
Absolutely.
comment.
Cheryl Jones from Winchester, thank you so much for calling. She says, great job. Love living in Winchester. Proud of our town. And then, oh, I have more than you.
Yes, you do.
Carla Faust from Winchester, thank you so much for calling in. And then Ernest Thornburg of Winchester, and he said, he remembers all about the area.
He's been there a long time.
Long time.
Yep.
So thank you so much, Ernest, for watching. We appreciate it.
And as you can hear, the phones have been ringing off the hook.
My
We're going to have a
goodness.
lot more people to thank coming up soon.
Yeah, we want to thank everyone. We want to thank you. So you should call in right now. Absolutely.
Or, you know what? We could check in on Facebook and
Oh,
see.
I love checking in on Facebook. See how many people are watching.
I have to put my glasses on. This is some good TV right here, isn't it? Hold on. We'll get there.
I think every single one of our storytellers is on the phone right now. That is awesome.
Okay,
Awesome.
so we have Kara Christian Hammond. We have Kyle Lewis. We have Kathy Fields. We have Denny Likens. Kim Williams says, love Winchester. What a friendly town.
Oh, that's sweet.
I know. Stephanie Shockley, William Baum. We have more than 70 people watching on Facebook Live, which is very exciting.
That's wonderful.
Lisa Geezy. So tons.
Yeah, it's like a watch party. I love it.
And Kyle Lewis says, can I get a DVD of this episode? I'm famous.
yeah.
Let me tell you, Kyle, how you can get a DVD.
Yes.
Let's talk about those DVDs, Michelle. That's the perfect segue.
Yeah.
Okay.
You to get one DVD, you can call in right now, and for $60 you get one DVD. And not only does it have this program on it, buddy, but it also has lots of behind-the-scenes footage that we shot during production day in our studios. We take lots of photos throughout the whole process. So yeah, if you call us right now or you go to WIPB.org, you can get your hands on one of those DVDs today.
Absolutely, and you can put that on a credit card.
Absolutely.
You can mail us a check.
Yep.
You can walk in cash.
We
if
would
you
love
want.
it. Yeah.
We'll give you some popcorn.
Yeah.
If you come
If you
in
come
with
now,
cash, that
sure.
would be fine.
So
yeah.
If you haven't called in now, I think what we're saying here is now is the time to make that difference to ensure the future of public television in your community. It's easy to do and just takes a few minutes, and it really does make a big impact. So call now at 1-800-252-9472 or contribute online at WIPB.org. Now let's get back to Now Entering Winchester.
Well, Wick's Pies has been a very good way for me to grow up and a very good blessing in my life, as it has been in all our family. We've been a very blessed company to have grown in Winchester the way we have. We started from scratch to being a very nice business by the time I was in high school. It was a very nice place to be from and treated. You know, as a whole, I think we're pretty much the same. We're family ran. We care about our employees because it is employee driven. The Wick's Pies is only as good as its employees and the quality they want to put forward. There's a lot of different stories depending upon which family member you're talking, because there's 7 of us. My memory of it is my dad was working outside of Winchester. He came from Union City. He went to Anchor Hocking to deliver something, I'm not sure what. And at that time, they were having issues, because it was during World War II, of keeping their employees in, and they would go out and get a little intoxicated. So whether it was his idea or the Anchor idea, I'm not sure, but he opened a cantina. And at that place, he brought in the sugar cream pie that was probably made by his mother at that time, because it was from his family recipe back to his great-grandmother on a farm. And it did so well by being closed, they wouldn't let anybody out, that it became successful. And my understanding is they basically kicked him out. They kicked him out. And when he got kicked out, he had the little blood going for having a restaurant. He opened up the Rainbow. Behind it, they had a bakery where they made donuts and pies fresh every day. And he worked that and delivered pies. He said he wasn't a salesman, but he would go around to the area, leave a pie with the manager of a restaurant, say, I'll come back in a week and see if you liked it. And from that, they got asked if he would like to have fruit pies or meringue top pies, and that's how he got started in the pie business. Mrs. Wick's happened, I believe, in 1985. That's when my dad retired from Wick's, and my brother became president. I came back from Arizona in 1990 to be the sales manager, taking Michael's place, and Michael moved into the presidency. And my mother came out of retirement. She was in her 70s, and they both ran Mrs. Wick's and had great success with it. He took the cash and carry room, which was across the street with him, and had the seconds and all the pies that you find there today. A little background with Wick's, the sugar cream, in the 60s, he did get a patent on that pie, so that afforded us to keep it only our pie. So as years have gone on, someone could probably try and steal it, but it's so popular within us, we're the only one that manufactures it, that's a nice niche. Our oven is about 103 feet long and bakes, I believe, 1,500 pies at a time. We don't make pies every day. Usually it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Thursday and Friday, but in the holiday season, the fourth quarter, we make more. You can make 10,000 pies in an 8-hour shift. Sugar cream, I believe we make over 1.5 million in a year. I would say sugar cream is number one. It's been out there for almost 75 years without any ads or marketing of any great extent, so word of mouth has carried that. And then you have pecan, it's a fast second. We've had German chocolate for a lot of years. That was based off of my mom always making German chocolate cake on the holidays. Our next pie is peanut butter cream. That's a baked pie, not a pudding pie. Warm, it's like a cookie. Cold, it's like a piece of fudge. It's one of my favorites. My dad loved peanut butter, so I would imagine he had a lot to do with developing the peanut butter pie. And then we also have coconut cream. That's the newest child, and it won 2 times in the National American Pie Council, as did our sugar cream has won more than 2 or 3 times. Pecan has won once. So we have about 8 pies total, and then the most popular being sugar cream and pecan. We are called the official pie of Indiana.
I came to Winchester in 1995, 23 years ago. When I came to Winchester, to be honest with you, I thought I would be here for 3 or 4 years max. But as I got to know the people here and got to know the benefits of a small town, here we are 23 years later, and my wife and I have raised our family here. Now we co-own a business here, and I wouldn't have it any other way. The Winchester Golf Club was formed in 1921, and a group of citizens got together. They decided they wanted a golf course in town, and they didn't have a way to fund it, so a big group got together, leased some land here in town, and actually funded the golf course themselves. And that little club was called the Winchester Golf Club. It was in a different part of town than what we use today, and it prospered for 8 years. And 1929, right before the Great Depression hit, the club was not in debt. They were doing well, but as a lot of businesses were, they were down to just 22 members and just couldn't sustain, and they had to cease operations. That core group held together and always kept the dream alive of having a golf course in Winchester, even though they couldn't do it during the Great Depression. In 1934, they elected a mayor here in Winchester that had been a member of that previous golf course. And then number 2 brothers, 2 local businessmen, William and Charles Beeson, passed away in 1934, and they willed 67 acres of land to the city of Winchester. And it's important to note that that will indicated that that land had to be a park or recreational facility. It could never be built on, according to what Mr. Beeson wanted. So they named the golf course at that time the Beeson Park Memorial Golf Course after Mr. Beeson. They developed those 67 acres, put 9 holes of golf in that we still use today. From 1936 to 1989, that golf course remained in existence. But in 1989, a local businessman, Mr. Errol Clem, came along with a grand idea and offered the city of Winchester a deal that they couldn't refuse. Basically, his grand plan was this: if you let me own and operate that 9 holes, I'll always keep it a golf course, as the will indicated it had to be, but I'll add 9 holes, and I will add an upscale housing addition, which Winchester at the time so badly needed. And after realistic heads came together and meetings of the minds, they agreed to let that happen, and Mr. Clem held true to his word. So what happened there is our second 9 holes went in. We have over 40 upscale homes at the golf course now, and we ended up with an 18-hole facility, a new clubhouse, and something that Winchester could be very proud of. And then in 2000, we got lucky again when Mr. Clem purchased additional land, and we added a third 9-hole golf course, giving Winchester, a town of 5,000 people, a 27-hole facility for the community, which for small towns, it's very rare to have a facility of that size. Thousands and thousands of visitors come through our doors every year, not just Winchester residents, not just Randolph County residents, but we bring people in from all over East Central Indiana. People of all ages play the game of golf, and everybody pretty much knows that. We've got 5-year-olds playing golf out there, and we have 2 90-year-old members playing golf, still to this day. So it's for men, women, kids, families. It provides a safe and friendly and positive environment for everybody. So in addition to, our 40 homes and what it does to the tax base, in addition to bringing in all the thousands of visitors and the 200 acres of green space that we provide the community, it also just gives people a place to relax, enjoy a great game, come visit. It's open to the public. Anybody can be out there. And it really, really does, I think, create a huge asset for the city of Winchester.
Somebody asked me in December of 2017, how did we choose Winchester? Of all the places to put a transitional home for homeless veterans, how did we choose Winchester? My response to him with a big, huge smile was, we didn't choose Winchester, Winchester chose us. And that's a story about the community. The Journey Home started as a grassroots effort by one individual. Her name was Linda D. DeHaven. She went to another individual called Mike Kennedy, who is our Veteran Service Officer. They went to the county commissioners. They started a board of directors. They started a 501(c)(3), and all of a sudden, a year later in 2014, they opened their doors. The VA had no idea that the Journey Home was here at the time. And through a great deal of struggle and growing pains and trying to figure out what we're doing, how we're doing our mission, 4.5 years later, we are now here helping veterans from all over the country get off the streets and into housing. HUD defines chronic homelessness as an individual that has been homeless for 12 months consecutively, or over a 3-year period of time they've had 4 episodes of chronic homelessness. Every veteran's journey into homelessness is different. But what's common among all the veterans that are home today, and I've met in the last 2 years, is that none of them have healthy interactions, healthy connections, or healthy relationships with anybody. And they have burned every bridge that they've ever come across, and they don't feel comfortable socially. And it's hard to get them out of the journey home and into the community because they're so paranoid and so fearful. But if we're going to keep them off the streets, we got to build that foundation. I think of my own life. If I was to lose everything, I have family and friends, and they're not going to let me be homeless. I haven't burned those bridges. I still have those connections. I might be jobless, I might be living in their house, but I'm not going to be on the streets. Every one of these individuals are lacking those 3 things. And a lot of what we do at the Journey Home and our program and our focus is not only to shelter them, feed them, and transition them into housing, but it's to build those skills and build those connections within the community so that they can sustain that independence. We want the community to come into the Journey Home and work with the veterans, not for them. We want the veterans to go into the community and work with the community and not for them. Because without those 3 things, healthy interactions, healthy connections, and healthy relationships, we won't be able to sustain, they won't be able to sustain their independence and permanent housing situation. We have people in the community that bring in their clothes and their used clothing to us first, and we get to pick through them before they go to Goodwill or to Attic Window or other places. If we need groceries for our veterans, all we got to do is ask. Last August, for example, We were, our 4 freezers were just about empty and our pantry was just about empty, and we got on Facebook and we asked for beef, chicken, pork, hygiene stuff, pillows, blankets, sheets, whatever you need in the house, and within 72 hours. The Facebook post was shared over 210 times and viewed by 14,000 people, and we had all 4 freezers filled back up. Our pantry was filled back up, and all the hygiene things, and some cash in the bank. And that happens over and over and over again. We have women that quilting clubs that make handmade quilts for every veteran that leaves our home. We have a lady in this community that bakes a birthday cake for every veteran and staff in our home. One of the greatest memories that I have in that is that we had an individual a big 6'4" individual, broad shoulders, like triple X, quadruple X shirts, and I can't remember how size it was, needed a coat. And I got on Facebook and did a call out. We need a winter coat for this veteran, and literally within hours, we had a lady walk in with a big coat. And not only was she able to hand it bring it into the home, but she handed it directly to the veteran herself. And she looked at him and said, "I love you, and I hope you're okay this winter." Or ask, have you ever met a hero? I mean, a true American hero? If you haven't, come to the Journey Home, I'll introduce him to you. There are Bronze Star winners in our facility, Purple Heart winners. I mean, there are individuals that have paid the ultimate price and are true American heroes, and they're right here in Winchester. And the community takes care of them, and I love being a part of that.
I am Margaret Bunce. I'm a school teacher here in Randolph County, and I was teaching school, and I was asked if I could be willing to kind of come out of the classroom and work with adults. And they said, would like you to do 3 things. Would like you to start a jail program, GEDs, literacy, math, English, because I had a couple degrees in those subjects, and then also start a literacy coalition, which would help adults learn to read who are struggling with reading below 3rd grade. I mean, they might have not known all the letters of the alphabet. And so my job was to train the tutors and get this started and get a board. My job was out of the classroom now. I wasn't teaching 5th graders anymore, but I was teaching adults with life problems. You know, kids and no jobs and being in jail or trying to get an education. And so I was able to do that, and I loved it. And the English as a second language was just wonderful. I learned the culture. I got to visit with all the different people from the different countries. It wasn't only Mexico, it was Peru, Ecuador, Cuba. So it was an eye-opener to me and my family. And I just was so thrilled to get people in the community who were able to help and share. Taking computers into the jail was an interesting situation. I couldn't take the internet in, but I could take all kind of learning problems, learning classes through the computers, and carrying all that stuff in. And I had an aide that would help me, and I felt like, yes, it had opened my eyes to the community. We give books to every child in the county. We also give scholarships. We gave out $2,500 last week to teachers. Giving $2,500 a year to teachers, and there were about 23 of us, 23 teachers that got money, $150 each, to go into their classroom. They wrote a grant, and we read it and okayed it. Our school corporation in Randolph Central is one of the top. I don't know if you know it or not, but we have 3D printers now that teach engineering printing, and they're getting ready for college. And several of our kids graduate in 3 years. They also, they have a whole year of college under their belt when they graduate. Also, we have lots of scholarship. I have not seen a city that gives out so many scholarships as Winchester. Good things are happening.
born and raised in Union City. Married a girl from Union City. We moved to Winchester in 1961. She taught in the schools here for 30 years, raised 2 daughters here, and was in the bowling business, the golf business, been a realtor, done some developing. So we've been part of the community for a long, long time. Well, in our travels, we've every town you go to, and we've been to Europe, we always see gathering places. And so the idea was to have a gathering place, and we hoped it would be in the center of Winchester, and the south side of the courthouse was an ideal spot for it. When I was promoting that idea, the bicentennial year of 2018 tied into it, and we got some support from the Tourism Bureau, and they really got behind it. So it turned into a project for a Bicentennial Plaza. And, we then had to convince the county to allow us to use their lawn to do that project, and got a lot of help along the way. We were probably a couple years in the planning, but from the groundbreaking until the opening of the plaza was 5 months. We had the Tourism Board, we had the Bicentennial Committee, and we had a committee for the Bicentennial Plaza. So there were a lot of people involved. The great part of the history of Randolph County is going to be in that plaza. We have 2 governors from Randolph County, Governor Gray from Union City, Governor Goodrich from Winchester, and we have a local sculptor in Union City named Josh Shepard who did the bus for both of those. And have a couple of historians, Dane Starbuck from Winchester and Ted Leahy from Union City, that did the biography plaques for the governors. So everything's been contained in a local fashion. And we have an additional 10 pillars that we will add historical plaques to. So in the spring of 2019, you would be able to go and spend a couple hours reading the history of Randolph County, which is very exciting to us. If you did an aerial view of it, it matches the north side of the courthouse. The brick matches the courthouse itself. We were charged with doing that, with making it match, making it easily to maintain. We have a map in the floor of it of the county with all the communities in the county, because it needed to be a county-wide project, not a Winchester project. The brick walls were built so that would be the seating. It's seating height. And the historical plaques, we came up with 10 categories: education and agriculture and industry and gas. And there again, we're working with Dane Starbuck, who is kind of a historian of the Goodrich family and of Randolph County. And he's agreed to do the verbiage of those plaques. For instance, when Randolph County in 1818 stretched from where it is today all the way to the Michigan line. That was all Randolph County. There was no Jay County, no Allen County. And those kind of things that are on those historical plaques are just new to everybody. The people don't realize how much history there is in Randolph County. A lot of education, literary institute, and the Underground Railroad, so many things that will be spelled out in those historical plaques. And it'll be very interesting to We hope that it draws. We hope that teachers bring their students there and spend some time. We hope that people come for lunch or entertainment, or there'll probably be wedding receptions, etc. But we think it's just a great focal point for the county.
Everyone has a story to tell, and we heard some great ones in that last segment.
Yes.
Yeah, I loved Mr. Clem's story and those photos.
And the courthouse itself is such a gem. I mean, what a treasure! If you're proud of nothing else in Winchester, you should be proud of that beautiful, beautiful building. So.
Yes, and also thanks to that last segment, I am now craving pie.
Oh, pie. Where is the pie?
All day pie. I don't know where the pie is. Perhaps we'll ask Marcia later.
Thanks so much for joining us for Now Entering Winchester this evening on WIPB. I'm Angie Rapp once more, along with Michelle Kinsey, and we're so happy that you could join us to celebrate the stories from Winchester. We cannot thank the people in town of Winchester enough for participating in this series. It's their stories. Your friends and neighbors are come to life on the screen. And behind us on the wonderful phone bank, we have some of your wonderful Winchester residents and storytellers helping us take your calls of support, and they have been busy tonight.
My goodness.
Holy moly.
In fact, we want to take a minute now and thank those of you who have called in with your gift to WIPB.
All right, first of all, we have Dane Starbuck. He was one of our storytellers.
Oh my goodness, Dane.
And
what a wonderful man.
He's very proud of Winchester. He's proud of WIPB. Thank you for that. And proud of what we're doing. And he called us from San Diego. He's watching online.
Yeah,
so
he couldn't be here tonight because he had a trip, and so thank you so much for watching, Dane, and thank you so very much for your support and for being such a wonderful storyteller as well. Trina Frazier, thank you so much for your support. She said she happened to notice herself in a photo in the YMCA segment. She was in the pound class.
That's exciting.
Can you imagine you're sitting there watching something? Oh my goodness, there I am.
I wouldn't want to see it of me. But. And then we have Greg Summer of Ridgeville, another one.
Listen, Greg is another one of our storytellers, and he is, you know, if you have seen the posters for Now Entering Winchester, all of the graphics that we've used on Facebook, those are Greg's photos. He is an amazing photographer, and we thank you so much, Greg, for letting us use your amazing photos to promote the program.
Absolutely.
Cindy Skyver from Lynn, Indiana, and she called in memory of her parents, John and Helen Seagraves. Thank you so much, Cindy.
For that. We appreciate that. Elizabeth Hendrickson of Winchester. She's with the
Congregational Christian Church. Yeah. Oh, yes, I heard about this. She is going to show the DVD at church for the Sunday school class for the kids to teach them about Winchester.
I love that. What a wonderful idea. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Adorable.
Love it.
Pastor Bob Kiefert from Muncie, he says, hey, Angie Rapp. Hello.
Hi, Bob. I love you and Donna both. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for calling in.
Alice Myers of Winchester says, great program. She's watching. She's a big supporter. She loves Winchester for over 40 years.
Wow.
Thank you, Alice.
Wonderful. And Flonnie Morrison from Farmland. Thank you so much for calling in. Flonnie, she says, I like WIPB and watch often, but tuned in especially tonight.
Love it. Mark and Angie Moody from Winchester, good friends of Lori Georgie's. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks, Marcia Hollinger from Winchester. Thanks for calling.
That was an online gift, wasn't it?
Oh, well, I can't tell.
Yes, those were.
Well, if I would read right here where it says online, then I would know.
Right.
Duly noted.
Susan Welch of Noblesville called in. Thank you so much for your support, Susan.
Marjorie Alberson, she contributed online. See, run it right there. She's from Union City. Thanks so much, Marjorie.
Oh, this one is exciting.
Ooh, what is it?
Santa.
What?
Santa called. Santa is proud of his friends and friendship of Winchester community, and it's a privilege to be there in the little red house on the square.
Oh,
I mean, we have
that is
big
adorable.
people, like the Santa.
Yeah.
The Santa of Winchester.
Wow. You know a show is cool when Santa calls in. That's fair. And it's even like the off season. So that's fantastic. Pollyanna Roberts from Winchester, another contribution online. She said, great job on Winchester's story. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot to be proud of this small community.
Lovely.
Wonderful. And Elizabeth Agnew, she is a longtime member of WIPB. She says, hats off to my former students, Mayor Sean Byram, and the citizens of Winchester for the good work in the city. Thank you, Elizabeth, for taking the time to call in your support. Wow, that's a lot of goodness.
You know what? We were going to go to Jim, but he's busy.
Oh my goodness.
So we're going to have to come back.
We will, because Jim has a very special challenge.
He does.
That he would like to throw out. And so we'll wait till he
we'll just move on.
We'll wait till he gets off the phone. That's right.
Oh, we do have a hashtag.
We do.
Hashtag Now Entering Winchester.
It is.
If you would like to tag any of your comments online.
Yeah.
And if you know any former residents of Winchester that have moved, maybe some of your friends or relatives who might not be able to watch on WIPB, we are streaming the show live on WIPB.org, and we're also on Facebook Live. So just go to Facebook and type in WIPB-TV, like the page, and then the live feed will show up right there in your news feed.
Fantastic. When we traveled to Winchester, we asked the residents what makes Winchester so special. And I think we've already seen that the answer is a lot. Let us know you are enjoying hearing these stories by calling 1-800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org. For a donation tonight of $60, we'll send you the Now Entering Winchester DVD as a thank you. For a donation of $108, we'll send you 2 DVDs. All you have to do is call us right now and talk to one of the awesome Winchester storytellers who are answering the phones right behind me tonight. Oh, do we have more?
Oh,
Thank you.
well, just a couple. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was, Okay, David Steele from Knightstown.
Wonderful.
And he was part of
He sure was.
Entering Knightstown. It's coming all full circle.
That. It's like a big family. I love it.
And then Bryn
Albertson?
online.
Yeah,
from
we had
Winchester.
another Albertson a little bit ago. I bet they're competing.
They might be.
Yeah.
Kelly Campbell of Winchester. Thank you so much, Kelly, for calling in your support. You're okay. Is your phone off the hook so no one's going to call? Is your microphone on? Okay.
Oh, he's ready?
Okay.
Okay, all right. Well, Jim Nunez has a challenge, right? He was talking to us a few minutes ago and he said, you know what I feel like? I need to throw out a challenge to everybody. Yep, it is on. Jim, what is the challenge you would like to throw out?
I'd like to throw out the challenge to all the people that come to Winchester for Mardi Gras. We celebrate every year that we're going on our 73rd Mardi Gras, and there's a lot of people everywhere that would just love the community. We love the people that come from all over the state, all over the country.
Yeah.
And even from foreign countries come over to us. So we like to put a challenge out there to everybody to come out and help us, support us.
So if you've attended the event in the past, you should call in with your support and donation, and then also you should go to the next one, right?
Yes, yes. So just have fun, and we're having fun here. I mean, just raising money, that's just fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Jim. And you heard him. Call right now with your support to Now Entering Winchester. See? He doesn't even have to say anything. It's right there.
The phones ring
It's right
tonight,
there.
right?
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. WIPB is here for all ages, from tiny tots to grandparents and everyone in between. If it's quality television with impact, you know you'll find it on WIPB. No doubt you've been watching WIPB for a while. Maybe you started out as a child, like me, watching Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And maybe you discovered the great dramas when you got a little bit older on Masterpiece or In-Depth News on PBS NewsHour. Or maybe you learned a little more about your neighbors in Winchester tonight. Well, then now is the time to support the programming that you value. All you have to do is call right now at 800-252-9472 and talk to one of your wonderful neighbors from the city of Winchester. We've talked to a couple of the storytellers tonight, and I know that Michelle has snagged another one. Then she's ready to have a little chitty chat with her right now, right, Michelle?
That's right, Angie. And with me is Marcia Wickersham. And you saw she kicked off this latest segment, the segment that we just had talking about Wicks. And really, I think, Wicks and Winchester kind of go together. When you hear people talking about Winchester, they usually bring up Wicks. Do you find? Yeah, they go hand in hand, don't they? Was that important for you to stay in Winchester because of that super strong connection
with
the town? With the town, yeah.
No, I just enjoyed Winchester. I loved growing up there.
Yeah.
And it's brought me back. I moved away a long time ago and then came back.
That's right.
Been back almost 30 years now.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's difficult to, if you're invited to events or let's say people are having a gathering, can you show up without pie?
I had a difficult time today. I had one in my freezer. I pulled it out to warm it up, and I thought, they didn't ask, and so I put it back.
Oh.
Well,
oh my gosh, if you could see everyone's face in the studio right now, it was a huge collective,
I did think about it. I don't remember usually. No, because we don't eat it necessarily at home all the time. But I did try to remember, but then I thought, well, maybe they probably have things there, so I didn't want to disrupt it.
Oh, in the future, just note to self, always disrupt it with a pie, a Wick's pie. We will always take a Wick's pie.
All right, I'll remember that.
Talk to me a little bit about gathering the photos and videos for the story. Was it nice to kind of look back, and did it bring back a lot of great memories for you looking at the old
There's
photos?
a mixture, yes. Yeah, there are good memories. Yeah, there's a lot of memories in my head that don't have pictures too. So
true.
But there's a lot of people I see in the pictures that I remember as a younger person that I enjoyed seeing them again. They're not all there now.
Yeah, sure. Why do you think it was important for you to share a story with Now Entering Winchester about Wick's? Why did you want to do that?
To support Winchester, to support this station. I love this station. I watch it personally myself.
Yeah, we were just talking about how much she loves Masterpiece.
Yeah, I love Masterpiece. Yes, I do. And it's a thrill to talk about my parents and my family, and that it's a family business, and that we're still doing it, and still my family owned, and in 38 states. So that's sort of nice.
That's fantastic.
Sort of
That's
nice.
And what were the numbers again? How many pies are made?
In an 8-hour shift,
Yes.
10,000. They can make 10,000.
10,000.
But we don't fill that oven all the time with pies.
Oh,
we
my
do a lot of
goodness.
shells too.
I'm thinking we could make a pretty good dent in that in this room tonight. What do you guys think? I'm seeing a lot of yes. Yeah. What would you tell someone who's watching the program right now about the importance of supporting programs like Now Entering Winchester?
I think it's just good to support the station, to keep it on, and to see all the shows. And I think it's a very good place to come to find out about the history of all of Indiana. I saw when I looked that you're doing all different cities, not just Winchester.
right.
I had no clue about that. And I've learned a lot by coming to it and being involved in it. I was, sort of the third one down the ring to come, and I am really happy I was the one that got chosen, and I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah,
I really am.
Yeah,
I'm
we were
enjoying it
so happy that
tremendously.
you took the time to share the story. So thank you very much for taking the time to come to production day and providing all of those wonderful photos and videos.
That was through Wick's Pies and C.S. Kearns on Muncie, actually.
Yeah,
they took the
wonderful.
pictures.
A Muncie connection, wonderful. Well, thank you so much again. So glad that you had a great experience. And I think we're going back to Angie. We have even more people to thank. They just keep rolling in. That's fantastic. Angie?
We do. Thank you so much, Michelle and Marcia. And Marcia, Mrs. Wicks has been a huge supporter of WYPB and telesale for years and years. And we have eaten many a Mrs. Wicks pie here at the station, let me tell you. So thank you so much. All right, I've got several more thank yous. We'll just try to roll through real quickly here. Okay, we have Betty and Mardell Robbins. They know Errol Clem. They live near him, Randolph County people, and their son was born there. So thank you so much. Miranda Passmore of Winchester. Thank you so much. Jim Nance of Winchester. Let's see, Tom and Linda Osborne, also Winchester. Thanks to WIPB for everything. They've been residents for more than 40 years. Thank you. Wilma Rollins, also of Winchester, calling in her support tonight. Alexis Summer, another one, calling in her support. And Vicki Haney of Winchester. And last but not least, I think we have, is that the last one? Maybe. No, I don't remember what I started on. Okay, yeah, I do. Okay, Madonna Shore. She wants to give a shout out to her husband, Russell, founder of Shore's Garages and Shore's Oil Company. So thank you. She's in Modoc. Karen Campbell of Winchester. Thank you so much. And Kelly Campbell, also of Winchester. So many people to thank. Thank you so much. Now, many of us grew up watching Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, just like me. Julia Child, Bob Ross, filmed right here in the studio, by the way. All of these programs were possible because of WIPB. We introduced viewers to the concept of educational children's programming. WIPB brought us British comedies and introduced the original cooking shows and DIY shows before there was the cable networks, Food Network, HGTV, were ever even thought of. WIPB now takes us all across the globe, teaching us about other cultures, bringing us a variety of music and fine arts programs, and keeping us up to date on public affairs and news. WIPB has always brought us great diversity in programming no one else can, and continues to do so every day. So call now so that WIPB can continue to enrich your lives in quality programming. 800-252-9472. If you get a busy signal, don't worry about it. It just means that everyone's on the phone, and just keep trying back. We will get you, I promise. Or you can always go online to WIPB.org and click on the donate button.
Yeah, we had a lot of people that thank that
did.
segment. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. Keep the calls coming.
Yes, please.
Our storytellers are loving hearing from you. We are loving reading the messages. But I think right now, we're back.
It's time to go back to the show.
Yeah, it's time to go back for more Now Entering Winchester.
I am from Winchester, born and raised here. I'm here to talk about the original musicals at the high school, at that time Driver High School. It is a 55-year tradition, and it's become something that the school can be very, very proud of. It was 1963, Charles Buckley of the music department and Robert Franks of the art department got their heads together and said, hey, why don't we do something really wild, and it's such a challenge. So they decided to take a Broadway musical, Oklahoma, and put on a major production at our little school of Driver High School. We had this little wood gym that the floor wasn't much bigger than what the basketball court was. The bleachers were raised about 4 feet above the floor. Also had a small stage, very small. There were no stage lights. And so the student body and their faculty instructors jumped in and took coffee cans, put light bulbs in them, and colored cellophane to cover the ends, and voila, you had colored lights for stage effects. There was no sound system, and so they did have to rent a sound system. All of the backdrops, the movable sets, were all constructed and painted by the faculty and the student body, the art department and the shop departments. We had terrific community support. In the first ones, we had to go out and borrow for costumes from the community. The community orchestra I was involved with. As a matter of fact, there is one article that was about Annie Get Your Gun, I believe, and it names all of the community orchestra members. And there was my dad, Mr. John C. Kelly, and my mom, Mrs. John C. Kelly Sr., and my Uncle Bob played saxophone. Once again, community support. That's the way it was for all three of the first ones. We did Oklahoma first, then we did South Pacific, and then finally we did Annie Get Your Gun. As far as from what I've read in the newspaper clippings and what we were told, they were sellout crowds. Actually standing room only crowds, so it was quite a good feeling for us kids to feel that we've had that kind of an impact on the community. Annie Get Your Gun, that's the last musical that was put on in the old gym before the move over to the new high school and a vastly better auditorium, which is now the Robert G. Jones Auditorium. Mr. Buckley, for 30 years, had been the director from 1963 until his retirement, 1993. Then came in Doug Fletcher, and he produced Brigadoon. After that, Michael Green came in, and he took over the choir and vocal department, and he took on the task of being producer of the musicals, and he continued on until his death last year, when he was into production, actually, for Shrek. Amber Hines and Dustin Shannon stepped in and finished the musical for him, And then Amber was hired as the new vocal department head, and she put on Mary Poppins, and the next one she's going to do is The Wizard of Oz. On the 20th anniversary of the first musicals, Mr. Buckley said, I think I'd like to do a reprisal of South Pacific. And so he invited a lot of the alumni back in order to fill some of the characters and extras as CBs and nurses and things like that. He said to me, well, I had in mind for you the part of Luther Billis. The next year he said, we need a director, so would you consider coming in and doing a dramatics director for Annie? And then the next year he said, do you want a part in Peter Pan? He said, well, it's just a small part. Would you like to be Captain Hook? And so I became Mr. Darling and Captain Hook that year. I loved working with all these kids too. I feel that the students had the same experience that I did, that they had to learn discipline. They had to learn their lines and do it in a timely manner. They had to work on their singing for all of the songs and all, and they had to learn to follow directions. The musicals at the high school, it's become a tradition that I think that the community would like to see go on for another 55 or 100 years.
My name is Janet Barnes, and I am the director of the Winchester Community Library. I started working for the library in September of 1997, and I became the director in February of 2005. One of the things about the Winchester Library that I think is unique is that for the first 50 years that it existed, it was under the control of the local school board. And because of that, some of the school activities took place at the library. And to this day, I still have people who come into the library and say, I went to kindergarten in the basement of the old library building.
My aunt actually was our kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Meeks. And she was a kindergarten teacher here in Winchester for many, many years. Even after the kindergarten closed here in the library, she went on to be the kindergarten teacher at Baker Elementary and later Willard Elementary.
You know, for kids it was fun, you know, all my friends were there and there were new friends from other areas of town I didn't know. And we would go downstairs and walk down this kind of hallway. It was kind of dark, as I remember, and then went out into this open room, and that's where we did our singing and activities, and there was a room off to the side where we did art projects.
The Carnegie Library in Winchester opened to the public in 1916, and it is one of 164 Carnegie libraries that were built in the state of Indiana, and that's actually the most of any state. The Winchester Library has the Winchester newspaper on microfilm going back to 1876, and we look through it often, usually for if someone's looking for an obituary. But one of the interesting things we sort of sometimes get stuck on looking at ads, old ads from, you know, the 40s or 50s or 60s. It's a fun thing to look at. And in the mid-1960s, a separate library board was appointed, so the school corporation was no longer in charge of the library. That was also the same time that the service area was expanded to include White River and Ward townships and the town of Saratoga, not just the city of Winchester. In 1988, the library board at the time embarked on building a new library. And so that's the library that you see today. It opened in February of 1992.
And I remember it just being a really exciting time. You knew that whatever the outcome, you were going to provide your community with something better than they had. And also to accommodate programs.
The library today, we have, there is a weekly story time. The children's department does a lot of different activities, workshops, and different types of things. In the last year, we have started having a knitting and crocheting group that meets at the library on a weekly basis. There's a writers group that just started meeting at the library every other week. There is a book discussion group that meets every other month, and they've been meeting for probably 15 years now. So there are a lot of different activities going on at the library.
Well, my grandfather, Eleuterio Nunez, was 36 years old when he decided that he wanted to come north to just have a better life. Him and his wife, Matiana Hernandez Nunez, and they thought, well, why not? Let's come up to Indiana and around here, around Winchester and Saratoga, and let's go for it. My grandfather was a group leader, and what would happen is that he would gather people and bringing them up north. In North Dakota, they did sugar beets. In Indiana, they did tomatoes. And in Michigan, they did cherries. And in Ohio, they did tomatoes. So that's how they started this venture of bringing the Hispanics up from South Texas. In 1954, my mom and dad, instead of going back and forth every year, let's stay in Saratoga or Winchester, let's stay here. My dad was always a busy person. He always started to do things around the community, helping neighbors, be part of a good citizen. And as he did that, he decided, him and my mom, to let's start a grocery store, a fix-it shop, and in a restaurant, and sell shoes. I started to notice that, we're making a difference here in the community by doing these kind of things and offering these kind of things. And that's one of the things that I noticed as coming up, how you can impact people's lives. So that's what kind of intrigued me to where I'm at now, is to be kind and doing other things and be involved with the communities. After I graduated, since I had 4 years of Spanish in Winchester, to take it to another step is to help my own culture by helping interpret during the season, during the field season every year. And I did that till, about 14, 15 years. And but I did it because it was a need. And I knew that as I was doing it, that I'll be helping. And then here again, those people would be better off with the right information given by the right person. So those kind of things, it intrigued me, and that's how I became where I'm at now, just trying to be helpful. Steve McCoy invited me to be one of the Winchester JCs. As Winchester JCs, you're a young man that goes out and does good deeds for the community, raise money for whatever project that has to be done. You have state projects, you have local projects, and one of the things that I noticed about with Winchester JCs is that when you went out, you seen instant results because you're doing it as a team. And you're out there and you talk among other people. It's almost like you can move mountains when you do it as a team. And you get very successful. And you're doing important things. People depend on that. We all have a purpose in life. And that's one of the things that God gave us, is to communicate. And when you communicate, things can be done. And that's why I joined all these organizations. I don't do it for the plaques. I don't do it for this and that. I do it because it's right. And I know that this is, part of my heritage from my grandfather, Eleuterio, to my dad, Santiago, and my mom, Viola. It's the responsibility of doing it correctly, doing it right, and being dependable. That's one of the things that through all my heritage and everything is that you can do good by helping others, doing those kind of things.
My name's Ted Martin, and I'm going to talk to you about the ancient history of Winchester and Randolph County. My friends and I used to fish for crawdads. We used to fish for them in Salt Creek here in Winchester. And in the mud one day down there, I found an arrowhead. And I found several others as a kid in the creek, through the period of time, but never really knew anything about them until I retired in 2010. I've got probably right at about 1,000-piece collection now. And I learned what they all are, the time periods, what they were used for, how they used them, and it just was pretty interesting to me. We've all heard of the mound builders, what they call, and it's basically from the Mississippi River east. Your early explorers would find these unnatural mounds of dirt, and they decided finally, after years of study, that was the Adena culture. Well, they built a mound out here northwest of Winchester on a gentleman's land by name of Fudge, so they named it Fudge Mound. There was a lot more to that mound building than what people think. There was openings into it, gateways into it, and everything else that would line up with the summer solstice or the winter solstice. And that's pretty incredible when you're stopping to think that was probably around 5,000 years ago. Their intelligence level was extremely high. You stop and think about how difficult it would be without any modern conveniences whatsoever to go out into the woods and live. You got to know how to grow stuff. You got to know the roots and all that. You've got to know how to build to get yourself even out of the rain. And we don't give the ancient cultures near enough credit for their intelligence. I think one of the most important things to me is if you do indeed find an arrowhead, find out about that arrowhead. I mean, you may pick one up on the ground, and the last person that touched that might have been 5,000 years ago. Give these people some credit and learn about them. They're very interesting cultures, very interesting.
I'm Melissa Patterson, and I served as the legal secretary for John Tanner from 2008 to 2015. The Tanner Law Office began in 1924 with Raymond R. Tanner. John attended the Indiana University Law School and joined his father's practice in 1963. I started working for John Tanner in 2008. He was gruff. He was loud. You either liked John or you didn't like John. He was there was no in between with John. You could see that there was a softer side to John that I wanted to get to know. There was an opening, and so I went to his office and said, I would like to work for you, John. And he looked at me and he said, you can't handle working for me. And I looked at him and said, John Tanner, you just met your match. And he said, I like you, you're hired. John helped a lot of people out that would not be able to afford the legal services that he provided. He did a lot of pauper cases where they just needed help, and he just would do it. Especially if a child was involved, John definitely would take care of it. He loved children. He wanted to protect them and make sure that they were okay. Any kind of a food bank, he always wanted to donate. We have a local agency that does an angel tree service of course, around Christmas time. and he purchased a bicycle for a girl and a boy every year. His theory was that every child should have a bike, and so that was his contribution every year. Nobody necessarily knew. I just went out and got it and took it there and said, you know, here, if you find a child that is asking for a bicycle, here are a couple, and that was his contribution there. He did a lot of behind the scenes that he just didn't want necessarily any recognition for. He's the longest serving county attorney prior to his term and since. No one else has ever achieved 43 years. In 2019, his grandson Mitch Tanner will be admitted to the Bar Association as well. But as far as current serving attorneys, between Raymond, John, Joe, and Kirsten, they have 152 years of attorney experience. The Tanner family should be remembered for their giving personalities. They've always been there for the people in the community.
I'm Chris Williams. I was the last owner of the Courtesy Coffee Shop, a restaurant that had operated in Winchester from 1947 to 1994. Mrs. Slim Hitchens actually opened the Courtesy in 1947 on Main Street. And then it was 1949, Ann Nance bought it. In 1954, the then owner of the Randolph Hotel approached Ann and asked her if he would give her a couple 3 months free rent, would she consider moving the restaurant over to the hotel? And he talked her into it, and she moved. It was an old lobby of the hotel, had a beautiful oak fireplace, very Victorian, built in the early 1900s, stamped tin ceiling, mosaic tile floors everywhere, huge windows that overlooked the entire square. The serving line was open to the kitchen, and the kitchen was open to the serving line. You could see everything and how it was being made. We had Swiss steak, which is cube steak and gravy, pan-fried chicken, chicken and dumplings, chicken and noodles, beef and noodles. As I always said, we make everything from scratch except the Coke. And I'm pretty sure the girls are working on a recipe for that in the basement. Those girls were quite literally worth their weight in gold. They could cook like nobody's business. Louise started in '54 as a head cashier and quite literally became the brains of the outfit. As Ann Nance got older, one, her eyesight failed, and Louise would tell her who was going through the line so Ann could say hi to him from the kitchen, because Ann wouldn't be able to see him. And then later years, Ann would go to Florida every winter, and Louise essentially ran the restaurant until the day Louise was getting ready to come to work, and she passed away. A blood clot hit her heart, and she just went instantly. We were fast friends. A Hollywood film crew was coming through the Midwest, looking for locations to shoot a herbicide commercial. They had found somebody had an old pickup truck, and they were filming that, and they asked him, well, hey, where should we go to eat? They said, oh, you must go to the Courtesy Coffee Shop. Everybody goes there. So the lady and her staff came to eat, and she asked the waitress to send me out to her table. And so I went out there, and she introduced herself, and she said, told me what they were doing. She said, we just came in to eat, but we've just fallen in love with this place. Would you let us film part of our commercial here? They set up light screens outside the huge windows to diffuse the light just the way they wanted it. Brought in a camera on wheels. Is a huge thing. They used Ora Osborne, one of the servers, Betty Carter, Sue Raffel, and I think they just carried a tray of water glasses through the dining room. I love Winchester because it's always been my home. A perfect small town.
seriously, we're a little emotional. That was
Lovely.
That was
why I love this
lovely.
show.
What a lovely story. What a wonderful sentiment from Chris. That was absolutely beautiful, and it really does. I mean, it really that's kind of in a nutshell.
Yes.
The amazing people that we have been able to get to know throughout this entire process. Yes. Winchester is filled with amazing people. It is no wonder so many of them signed up to tell their stories. It's no wonder
the phones
that they
have been
came
ringing off the hook all night,
right.
which has been so wonderful. Thanks to all of you who have called in tonight so far to support WIPB in Winchester. It's not too late. We're going to stay here as long as we need to stay here. So if you haven't called yet, you still can.
Absolutely. We'd like to... See? Way to go, Angie. We'd like to thank David and Nan Harris of Winchester. They said they're grateful to be able to call Winchester home. Couldn't ask for a better place to raise our 3 kiddos. Entire family loves WIPB and your many documentaries and educational programs. Thank you so much, David and Nan.
Absolutely. And Marcia Wickersham would like to send a shout out to her grandchildren, Claire, Max, and Grace, and to her daughter, Amy, and to Missy too, who is at home watching. So thank you so much, and hi to everyone.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Is that Christy? Christy Clem Brinkman in Fort
Clem's
Wayne.
Daughter,
Yes, Errol Clem's daughter. Yep. She says she enjoyed hearing about her hometown. We are so glad you are watching this evening, Christy. Thank you so much. And thank you for supporting WIPB.
All right. Heather Staggs of Winchester, thank you so much.
Bobby and Beverly Manning from Ridgeville. They said they know most of the people in the background. That would be you.
The rock stars.
Yeah. And the storytellers. They enjoy WIPB. They've been watching Channel 49 for a long time, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for watching for such a long time. Chance and Katie Milholland of Farmland. Thank you.
Hey.
Yeah.
Tiffany and Robbie Moreland. They contributed online, and they said, thank you, WIPB, for acknowledging a small town like Winchester. Enjoyed hearing some history.
And another online donor, Melissa Batt of Winchester. Thank you to Melissa.
And, another online contribution from Martin's Lawnmower Repair.
Awesome.
We had a business call in. Thank you so much, everybody at Martin's.
Again, online, Brent Edwards from Winchester, and Madison Cook, also online, also Winchester.
Wonderful.
That's all.
Is that all yours? That's all of mine as well.
All right.
We want to thank all of our amazing phone volunteers who have been with us taking your phone calls. They've been here all night long. Let's hear it for our volunteers. Give yourselves a hand, storytellers.
Some of them are
They're
busy.
still on the phone. Yeah. That's so cool. And if you haven't called, you still have time. 1-800-252-9472. If you donate $60, we'll send you the Now Entering Winchester DVD. Or for $108, we'll send you 2 DVDs. You can keep one, give one to a friend. The DVDs have lots of bonus material, including behind the scenes at production day and at the Randolph County Historical Society and Museum. And what?
I just keep thinking we haven't mentioned that the donations are tax deductible.
Oh,
yeah,
good
and it's
point.
kind of tax time.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Bonus. You'll also get the benefit of WIPB Passport. WIPB Passport makes it easier for you to watch your favorite programs by giving you access to an on-demand library of thousands of hours of PBS programming. You can access Passport anytime, anywhere, 24/7. Here's more.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
She was the Queen's sister, but she did things nobody else in the royal family had done.
When you get that relationship with a horse, sky is the limit of what you can do.
Your 4th great-grandfather knew Thomas Jefferson.
This is blowing my mind.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Become a member of this PBS station. Sign in and start streaming today.
WIPB believes in making the communities we serve better. We do this through our community engagement activities and through the local programming we bring you, just like Now Entering. This series gives us the opportunity to come and visit and learn more about what makes each of your hometowns unique. we met some new friends in Winchester, and in the process, some of them have joined us tonight on the phone bank and here in the studio. And they're just calling, they're waiting for you to call in your support right now. They've been so great, so let's just keep those phones ringing and let us know that you value the uniqueness of WIPB and what we bring to you and your family each and every day. Call 800-252-9472 right now or go online to WIPB.org. And now I think Michelle has another one of our wonderful storytellers with her. Over to you, Michelle.
I do. I have the man that made us all cry. It's Chris Williams. He did a little switcheroo. He was like, you had a beard thing going on, and then you showed up tonight. It's like, whoa, a totally different person. A lot of people were in the studio pointing to the monitor and pointing to you. Oh, look, it is the same guy. Yeah. So you did a little.
Yeah, we changed the picture so the picture in the post office isn't the same as.
Good idea. Good. Although now, I'm
busted.
You're out there, yeah. Now you're out there. Well, thank you so much for telling such a wonderful story. And I will say that you were the very first storyteller to sign up on this project. And I remember I remember the email that you sent very well because you were so passionate about the courtesy and how much it meant to you over the years. What was it about it that makes it so special, Chris?
I always called it kind of my own little Mayberry. Yeah. Each one of the personalities that worked there were so very special.
Yeah.
Everyone got along so well. My customers were the best ever. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was the single greatest experience of my life, those years that I was up there. I actually learned to cook there.
Wow.
Mother was always so surprised because she said, I never showed him how to cook. And how does he do this? And it was all the women there.
Sure.
After I bought the place, business really took off. And the ladies wouldn't let anyone help them but me. So when I would go back there to help them, and I'd say, okay, how do you make this?
Mm-hmm.
They would lean over and whisper to me because no one was to know anything. My mother asked me, she says, you got to tell me how they make the cream peas up there. And I said, well, as long as Aunt Nancy's alive, I can't tell you.
It's not happening. You don't want her coming after
Mother
you,
was
right?
not happy. But I don't know. I felt an obligation to Aunt Nance because she was adamant about that no one could know a recipe.
Wow.
And
more than the food there, it was a place to make amazing memories, wasn't it? Because I some people were talking tonight, I had my bridal breakfast there, or I met, my husband there, or so many of life's, amazing moments have happened within those walls.
A lot of people come
right?
and go on, and we did a lot of rehearsal dinners up there. I did catered a lot of weddings, and I don't know of a single wedding that I catered that they aren't still together. Everybody.
Oh.
Because I run into them
Yeah.
now, and of course they got kids, but I remember one we did when I was younger. The groom fancied that I looked like William Shatner, and he says, "Can you do a Star Trek thing?" Well, Clarice Kellums, that did the front, was the server in the front dining room, sewed a costume for me that looked like William Shatner's costume in
Star Trek.
I think the second movie, the second movie maybe, and so I did his. I did their wedding or their rehearsal dinner.
In the costume.
In costume.
And character.
And then the, well, not in character. We didn't beam anybody up. But
did you take their orders like that?
No, I just kind of floated in and out. Well, we had Star Trek centerpieces and stuff like that. But I had a lot of fun up there.
A lot of memories. It must have been wonderful going through all of the photos and things that you had, collecting them for this project.
Yeah, because I hadn't looked at him for a while.
Sure.
And it was pretty neat. Yeah. And to see the faces again. The only cook that's still alive is Irma Reynolds. Hello, Irma. Hi. And made fabulous scalloped chicken. That was one of my favorites, something she used to make. But she's the only cook that's still living of the original staff. The mayor that you seen earlier,
yes,
is a courtesy alumni when he was in high school.
Oh, I didn't know that he worked there, huh? A lot of people, I'm sure.
Not really.
No?
No, we didn't go through a lot of people.
The
high school
you
kids.
want to stick with the good jobs, yeah.
The high school kids we would hire as freshmen. I'd try to take them all the way through high school. One I took into college. Because the customers didn't like to see faces changing, I thought.
Sure.
And Elizabeth Barnes, now Winningham, owns the House of Flavors in Winchester. She was one of my servers. She went into the restaurant business.
That's a lot of great stories. I know that you have so many stories to tell about Courtesy. I'm so glad that you chose to tell some of the ones you did tonight. And thanks for chatting with me a little
Very
bit
happy to.
about it here during our live program. We're going to go back to Angie, who has even more messages from the awesome callers we've had this evening. Ange?
Hey, we do. I know. I'm looking at it. Just a second. Well, there were some messages especially for Chris Williams. Kathy Fields says, Chris, your Tyson team members are proud of you as well. So there's that. And then Andrea Sharp-Long thinks that Chris Williams is too funny. So yeah, we have a lot of people watching on Facebook Live, and they've been sending us comments all night, so that's been fun. We've been trying to keep up with that as well, but these phones have been going off the hook, which is just amazing. Really, this has been one, see what I'm saying? They won't stop. This has been one of the most successful shows, I'm sure, that we've had in the Now Entering series, Pledge Nights. So Kay Thompson from Noblesville, thank you so much, Kay. She knows Marcia and the Wickersham family, so we wanted to say thanks to you. Rodney Webb, from Webb Jewelers, there in Winchester. He's lived there all his life, about 80 years. And another longtime member, Anne Marie Brown, another 80-year member. She moved to Winchester when she was 16, and it's a wonderful place to live, and she just loves it. And she also runs the food pantry there in Winchester. Julie Hollingsworth of Carmel has called in. She has a message. Her parents have the county gentleman in Winchester, so thanks. Country gentleman, sorry. And then Donald and Deborah Belunk of Saratoga, Indiana. Thank you so much for calling in. Lyle Yoder of Farmland, another Farmland one. So that's wonderful. Another Farmland, again, Susie Dunham. Thank you so much, Susie. And that's all I have. I think we're caught up for now. All right, awesome. WIPB is member supported. Our members are people just like you. They're people in our communities who appreciate the diverse programs that WIPB brings you every day. Your financial support, no matter the amount, really does make a difference. Now Entering Winchester is a program that you can't find anywhere else, and it is a little expensive to produce. I mean, it's not free, right? That's why we come directly to you to help ask you for your help. If WIPB and Now Entering Winchester is important to you, then call us right now. It's not too late. There's still time. 800-252-9472 and make a gift of support. Your donation of any amount tells us that you value programs like Now Entering and you want to see more local programs. So call right now and let one of our wonderful Winchester phone volunteers help you become a WIPB member. 800-252-9472.
Oh, we just got another one. Chris Sickles of Greenfield, and then also Robert Cornett of, really now, who did this?
Elena.
No, I think they're trying to trick me. Wapakoneta? Wapakoneta? What? Wapakoneta,
Ohio.
That's a cool name. Wapakoneta, Ohio. Excellent program filled with wonderful memories of where I grew up.
Lovely.
Thank you for putting this program together. He went from Winchester to Wapakoneta.
What was that?
Why did you leave? You had it so easy with Winchester. You can pronounce it, Robert. No.
I'm sure it's a wonderful town, too.
Absolutely. It's not too late if you enjoyed Now Entering Winchester to make a gift of support. So do that right now by calling 800-252-9472. You'll receive one Now Entering DVD for a contribution of $60 or 2 DVDs for a contribution of $108.
Thank you again to the wonderful residents of Winchester for sharing your stories and for volunteering your time to answer the phones. Seriously, give yourselves a hand.
Yay.
This has been just wonderful tonight. Seriously, it's been so fun for us.
Yes.
And we want to let you know, would you like to do the honors here?
Oh, sure. You're going to do a drum roll?
I don't know. What? It's the best I can do.
The next town in our Now Entering series is, now you do it. Tipton! And that'll air later this year.
Wow.
Tipton, we're coming to you.
We're coming to you, Tipton.
That's right. If you would like to nominate your town for consideration, send us a note or give us a call. We would love to come visit your town and learn what makes it special.
We really should have practiced that.
The drum roll thing?
Yeah, that whole
It's
thing.
all right.
Sorry.
It's all right. You do you. If you haven't called in yet, you still have time. 1-800-252-9472 or go online at WIPB.org.
They just keep coming.
Yay!
Amy Hendrickson of Winchester gave online, as did Reed and Kim Grove of Farmland. Listen, Farmland is representing tonight.
Wow,
Yeah,
that is
really.
a lot.
It is. Do we have any last minute ones, Lori Georgie? We have one more.
Oh, we have one more coming. So, storytellers, how was it tonight? Good?
Great.
Good night?
Great.
You have fun?
Great.
Awesome. And another call is coming.
I mean, seriously.
Fantastic.
Good luck, Lady Falcons.
Good luck, Lady Falcons, says Jim Nunez.
Love it.
Yeah. Oh, one more call. All right. Do we have one more that we need to recognize before we? What? Who?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry. Julie
Patty of Winchester.
Yes, Julie.
Thank
you, Julie. And we have a couple more people on the phone. Yes.
A couple people on the phone, but we can go ahead and...
Yeah, we have a few more people on the phone. Don't hesitate to keep calling. But before we go, we want to thank Robert Marquis of Richmond. And he said when he was 5 or 6 years old, by the mausoleum, Gene scared them. And he tripped over a tombstone. Is this what?
Yes, that's right.
That's for real?
Okay. All right.
All right.
Now listen, if you haven't called.
That is, what a way to wrap up. I never, if somebody would have said, hey, do you know what kind of calls you're going to get and how you're going to end the program? I never would have said, you know what, I think somebody's going to trip over a tombstone.
Oh, well, yeah.
Hey, only in Winchester.
There you go.
And we loved every minute of it. And thank you for joining us for Now Entering Winchester on behalf of Angie Rapp and all of our awesome storytellers.
Absolutely. Give yourselves a hand.
Thank you so much for watching and supporting WIPB and the wonderful local programs like Now Entering Winchester. Good night.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Now Entering is made possible with support from Randolph County Economic Development and Tourism, City of Winchester, St. Vincent Randolph Hospital, Adams Physical Therapy, Davis Chiropractic. With additional support from Paul Faddis Realtor, All Brothers Lawn Squad, Community Foundation of Randolph County, Crossroads Excavating Construction, Matchett & Ward Insurance, Empire Title Services, Edward Jones, Kevin Addington, Matthew Haney. Apex Agriculture Solutions, Wick's Pies, Ohio Valley Gas Corporation, New Horizons Accounting and Payroll Services, Natalie Exton, State Farm Insurance.
Rooted in tradition, Randolph County is planting seeds for a powerful future. It's the place where businesses find the resources, infrastructure, and skilled workforce needed to succeed, and where individuals and families find the quality of life they deserve.
Winchester is a vibrant, growing community that respects its heritage and where businesses and families have the resources to thrive. Winchester is home to the Winchester Speedway, leading manufacturers, and the Indiana State Pie, Wick's Sugar Cream Pie.
St. Vincent Randolph Hospital provides access to a variety of